The aviation industry were immensely supportive. But most of the money came from you and me, from the great British people. And you've given your money, which just shows, I think, how much everybody does love this airplane. And there she is, approaching from the right.
No.
Now, if you were expecting a very loud noise from the Vulcan, well, she can sneak up on you as well. But when they turn on the taps on those four big Olympus engines, I think you'll probably hear. Now, they being in the left-hand seat, Fairford, who's employed by Rolls-Royce as their test pilot. He gets to fly their Spitfire when it's airworthy. And sitting in the right-hand seat, not captaining today, is the chief pilot of the Vulcan to the Sky Trust, Martin Withers, DFC. Yes, that Martin Withers, the one who flew Vulcan 607 down to the Falkland Islands 30 years ago this year and dropped 21 1,000-pound bombs on Port Stanley, 2 of which hit the runway. And that's about par for the course for World War II dumb, unguided bombs. So Vulcan coming back in towards us. As I say, this is her first display. They've not had many practices at this, so they're doing pretty much the same as they did last year. The airplane that is to become the Vulcan was first drawn on a stuffy piece of paper designed to the Lancaster. So he was thinking about this amazing aeroplane 5 years after the Lancaster first flew. It's quite extraordinary. And she eventually flew in 1952, by which time, sad to say, Roy Chadwick, the great Lancaster and Vulcan designer, had died in an aircraft crash. But his work was taken on by Stuart Davis. And so 11 years after the Lancaster flew, this aeroplane flew. But you must think they came from different centuries. Eventually 136 of them were built, and with the contemporary Valiant and Victor, it had been designed to carry the British nuclear deterrent until submarine-launched nuclear missiles came along in the mid-60s, and Vulcans lost their awesome responsibility of providing the quick reaction alert nuclear deterrent. And when they did that, they changed their colour. They'd been brilliant white anti-nuclear flash, and they changed to this camouflage scheme, becoming low-level operating conventional bombers, although still capable of nuclear weapons. And of course it was in that role that they carried out this Falklands raid 30 years ago, which was at the time the longest bombing raid in history, 7,760 miles, which is further than from here to Santiago in Chile. This particular aeroplane was the first B-2 version of the bomber, the second Mark, into RAF service in Bomber Command in 1960. Martin Withers sitting in the right-hand seat and Phil O'Dell sitting in the left-hand seat. The third man of the crew is the Air Electronics Officer, Barry Macefield, a very important man in the Vulcan crew. He runs all the electrics. It was sometimes known as the electric bomber, very complicated electrics in the aircraft. And during operational days, it would have had two navigators as well. One radar navigator, one plotter navigator. Bomb doors open. There you can see where those 21 1,000-pound bombs fit. That's what she was designed to do. Also designed for a very big nuclear weapon. But eventually, right at the end of her service days, carrying that 21,000 pounds, 10 tons, give or take, of bombs. So this very elegant colour scheme, and her distinctive camouflage, which looks so good against those white puffy clouds, she carries the Lincoln coat of arms on her tail fin, because of course Lincoln is always thought of as the centre of bomber country, and the panther's head of No. 1 group on the nose, representing all of the Vulcan squadrons in the 1970s. And the more recent addition, the spirit of Great Britain, is painted on her nose, because she does encapsulate, I believe, all that we like to stand for, the great British never say die bulldog spirit, because of course this aeroplane has lurched from financial crisis to financial crisis, even threatening to sack all the paid engineering staff several times. But she's still here, thanks to you. Bomb doors closing. So we talked about the two saviours of this aeroplane, David Walton, who bought her originally, and Robert Fleming, who has stayed as the boss of the Vulcan to the Sky Trust and done an absolutely unbelievable job that nobody thought could be done. And as you can see, she is almost as manoeuvrable as a fighter. In fact, in the very early days of her displays, at the very early Farnborough days, the first time she was ever seen in public wasn't very long after her first flight, and the great Rowley Falk test pilot rolled her completely round in a small barrel roll that looked pretty much like a slow roll. And everybody thought that a bomber couldn't do that. But he showed that it could. And incidentally, she doesn't have the big kind of control yoke that large aircraft normally have. Each pilot has a single fighter-type joystick to control it. Well, I've been going on about the money.